Did you dream of a flat piece of black tarred earth like this as a kid? Good old blacktop. Seems like it's pretty much country folk luxury. You know, even these kids, before this smooth, flat plane of fun, they learned how to ride a bike for 3 months. It took them on 1- limestone. Then their dad bestowed on them asphalt privilege. And in 10 minutes, it was smooth sailing on those 2 wheels. Here's how I did it. Well, when you live on the side of the mountain, you can imagine there's no flat land. And even though it looked fairly flat in front of the garage there, which you're gonna have to forgive me, I cannot find for the life of me a good before picture of what the elevation drop was in front of the garage. So you're gonna have to take my word for it. But if you came out 45 feet, it dropped 3 to 4 feet. And so if we wanted a big flat pad right there, we needed about 200 to 400 yards of dirt. That was an estimate I had then, and that's still an estimate because I really didn't keep track. So what's a reasonable solution that knocks off a couple birds with one stone? Well, that's getting 2 big flat areas for the price of 1. So up behind the garage here, I thought, we don't have any sunlight. Maybe we'll do a garden one day. And these are a whole bunch of small mass black gum trees, and they just never grow to maturity up here on the mountain. They always end up dying off at around 12 inches in diameter. It's rare to see one bigger than that. So, small mass, low value trees, check. Dirt that's really close to the final destination, check. And the only other place other than the front yard that gets a bit of sunlight for a garden? Well, win-win-win. It took a hot minute to find the right people to do this, but a nice little father-son excavation crew came out and dove right in. They had a stump bucket on their Bobcat, and they pushed all the trees over in one morning, and they started cutting into the hill.
Pile of logs from what was a piece of our woods, which is now a pad in front of our house. Hopefully it'll be nice and smooth. And oh man, that was a lot of dirt, and it's a lot of work. They are doing awesome.
And this was the most inefficient part of the project, but bringing bucket by bucket from the Bobcat down to the front of the garage, building that pad up a little at a time, which pretty much took the rest of the week. But because we could only do a bucket at a time, it benefited us because we needed to compact that clay, which is what we found out was in the hill. I know that sounds silly, but I just had a really big assumption that there would be some shale under that first layer of clay and more rock, but it was all clay. So we kind of had to change our strategy for compaction. I needed to grab a sheep's foot vibrating compactor, and I was able to find this trenching one. That's why it's only 2-3 feet wide. But it was remote controlled, and I was able to do one section at a time. As the Bobcat came over, dumped a load, smoothed it, I would press it down here. So let's nerd out on clay a little bit. The particles of clay are so small that they actually hold on to water molecules really, really well. So it takes a while for clay to dry out. Well, you can compact that as much as you want, which is getting the air out. I'm doing that as well as I can, but it still is too saturated. So this entire pad just needed a whole bunch of time to dry out naturally over the summer. The big thing that I did was just keep an eye on that laser level, making sure that the grade was exactly where I wanted it. You can tell we came up quite a bit, 45 feet out from the garage there, 3 feet at the house side, and at the far side, almost 4 feet. That's a decent amount of fill. But once we got the pad where we wanted it, we had to raise the driveway out, I think about 50 feet, to make it a nice transition up to the pad without it being kind of like a ramp, you could imagine. We brought in the gravel and we were about 6 to 12 inches below our final grade. So that's where the limestone could come in, we could compact that, and over time, it was going to be a waiting game. And as that pad dried out and hardened up, we would continue to bring in more limestone to bring it up to that final grade for the blacktop.
Wow. 15 tons of America's finest limestone. Look at this hydraulic ram. Look at that thing. That's a 10-inch diameter ram. Do you know how many PSI that thing is pushing out? Wow. That's what dreams are made of right there, ladies and gentlemen.
Now, I did wait 5 months for this pad to dry. All summer long, it got drier and harder. And once I brought in that final load of limestone,
Love the pad, held up well.
when that 40,000 pound truck backed up on the pad and it didn't even make an impression, I knew that we were in a good spot. Now this footage is actually the Asphalt Millions load that I ordered. I didn't have any footage of limestone coming in throughout the drying process. I think I ordered 2 more loads of limestone to get it to its final grade. I forget. But regardless, the Asphalt Millions were kind of an experiment. They're really inexpensive, and we just ran the whole driveway with them. The asphalt contractor agreed to roll them and compact them into the driveway, and it's okay. I mean, I wouldn't do it again. The only thing I would note about asphalt contractors and getting quotes and the whole process I went through was just knowing how thick of a pad they're going to put down. That reflects on the price, and just the details in that quote. That's just like any big project. The more detail oriented and open the contractor is, the more you can build trust with them. These guys were not the cheapest quote, but they were the best quote, the most informed quote, and they did good work. So, the best of both worlds. The middle of the woods, you can run and explore and then come back and have a little piece of modern day parking lot to ride bikes, scooters, and play a little pickup basketball. So get yourself a little modern day country luxury. Get some blacktop out on your property, folks.
All threes.
Oh! 21!
Two? You have to win by 2.
Oh!
You have to. You know that.
Oh, I forgot.
That's why I let you shoot.
Oh!
All right. 21-20.
You know, I'm twice your age.